Can I take you home? I will pay you. What do you mean? Where's your mum?
The phone buzzed in Sarah's purse just as she was about to call it a night. Her feet ached in the cheap heels, and the cold Boston wind cut through her thin jacket. She'd been standing on this corner near Downtown Crossing for 6 hours, and all she had to show for it was $80 and a deep exhaustion that went beyond physical tiredness. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pull out the phone. Unknown number. Hello? Hi. My name is Marcus. I'm the one in the gray hoodie across the street. I need to talk to you about something, but not what you think. Can I approach you? I promise I'm not a cop or anything weird. Sarah looked up and saw a kid, couldn't be more than 18, standing under a streetlight about 30 feet away. He had his phone to his ear and looked nervous as hell. He was clean cut, wearing expensive sneakers and a hoodie that probably cost more than her monthly rent. What do you want? She asked, keeping her voice steady. To hire you, for the whole night, but I need to explain in person. Please. I'll pay you $5,000 right now before we even talk. Sarah's heart jumped. $5,000. That was 3 months of rent. That was her daughter's school fees. That was groceries and medicine and maybe, just maybe, a chance to breathe for once. Come over here where the light is better, she said. The kid walked toward her, and up close he looked even younger. Baby face, nervous eyes, the kind of kid who should be worried about college applications, not talking to women on street corners at 11 at night. I'm Marcus, he said, extending his hand like they were at a business meeting. Sarah shook it, confused. I'm Sarah. I know this is weird, but I need someone to pretend to be my mom for one day. Tomorrow, my graduation ceremony at Brookline Academy, I'll pay you $5,000, plus I'll buy you whatever clothes you need, take care of everything. You just have to show up and act like you're proud of me. Sarah stared at him. In 10 years of this work, she'd heard every request imaginable, but this was new. Where's your real mom? She asked. Marcus's face tightened. She's traveling. She's always traveling. Been traveling my whole life, basically. My dad travels too, for business. He can't make it tomorrow either. I don't want to be the only one there without anybody. Everybody's going to have their parents, and I'll just be alone, and I can't do that again. Not for graduation. There was something in his voice, something broken, and trying hard not to show it. Sarah recognized that sound. She heard it in her own voice sometimes when she talked to her daughter on the phone and pretended everything was fine. Why me? Sarah asked. Because you look kind, Marcus said simply. I've seen you around this neighborhood a few times. Last month, I saw you give your sandwich to a homeless guy. And once I saw you help an old lady pick up her groceries when her bag broke. You didn't have to do those things. You just did. That's the kind of person I want standing next to me tomorrow. Sarah felt something crack inside her chest. Nobody had called her kind in a very long time. Most people looked through her like she was invisible, or looked at her with disgust, or looked at her with hunger. But this kid was looking at her like she was a human being who might save him from something. $5,000? She asked. Marcus pulled out his phone. What's your Cash App? She gave it to him, still not quite believing this was happening. Her phone buzzed a moment later. She looked at the screen, and her vision blurred with tears. $5,000. Actually there. Actually real. Tomorrow at 9 in the morning, Marcus said. First, we're going shopping. I need you to look like you belong at Brookline Academy, not like, no offense. None taken, Sarah said. I know what I look like. Meet me at the Prudential Center at the main entrance. Wear something clean, but it doesn't have to be fancy. We'll get everything you need there. He turned to leave, then stopped. Thank you, really. You don't know what this means to me. Sarah watched him walk away and disappear into a waiting car, probably an Uber. She looked at her phone again, at the number that represented more money than she'd seen in months. Then she looked at the time. Midnight. She should work a few more hours, try to make more money while she could. Instead, she went home. Her apartment in Dorchester was a fourth-floor walk-up, one bedroom that she shared with her 7-year-old daughter, Emma. Her sister Patricia watched Emma most nights while Sarah worked. The arrangement wasn't ideal, but it was survival. Patricia was asleep on the couch when Sarah came in. She gently shook her awake. It's only midnight, Patricia mumbled. You feeling okay? I got a different kind of job tomorrow. Sarah said. A weird one, but it pays well. Can you watch Emma all day? Course. What kind of job? I'll explain later. It's complicated. Sarah checked on Emma, who was sleeping in the bedroom they shared, her small body curled around a stuffed rabbit. Sarah kissed her forehead and whispered, "Things are going to get better, baby. I promise." The next morning, Sarah put on the cleanest clothes she had, a simple black dress that was meant for church but also worked for street corners. She took the train to the Prudential Center and found Marcus waiting outside, looking anxious. "You came," he said, relief obvious in his voice. "You paid me $5,000. Of course I came." They went to Neiman Marcus first. Sarah had never been inside, had always just walked past the windows looking at clothes that existed in a different universe from her own life. Marcus went straight to the women's section like he'd done this before. "Pick out whatever you like," he said, something that says sophisticated mom who has her life together. A saleswoman approached, her smile professional, but her eyes scanning Sarah with clear judgment. Marcus pulled out a black American Express card. "We need a complete outfit," he told the saleswoman. "Dress, shoes, accessories, whatever she needs. Price isn't an issue." The saleswoman's attitude changed immediately. Suddenly, Sarah was being ushered into a dressing room, brought options, treated like she mattered. She tried on a navy blue dress that fit perfectly, elegant but not flashy, matching shoes that were comfortable despite the heel, a simple gold necklace, and earrings. When she looked in the mirror, she barely recognized herself. "You look perfect," Marcus said when she came out, like a real mom. Something about the way he said "real mom" made Sarah's heart hurt. They went to a salon next. Sarah got her hair done, professionally styled for the first time in years. Makeup applied by someone who actually knew what they were doing. When it was finished, she looked at herself and saw someone else entirely. Someone respectable, someone who belonged. "Now you look like my mom," Marcus said, smiling. At 8:30, a black SUV picked them up. The driver called Marcus Mr. Chen and treated him with the kind of respect that comes from money. They drove to Brookline Academy, a private school with buildings that looked like they belonged at Harvard. Sarah felt her stomach clench with nervousness. She didn't belong here. These were rich people, educated people, people who had never stood on street corners or counted change for bus fare. "You okay?" Marcus asked. "I don't know if I can do this," Sarah admitted. "These aren't my people." "Just stand next to me and smile," Marcus said. "That's all I need. Just don't leave me alone." They walked into the ceremony together. Parents and students filled the auditorium, everyone dressed in their best. Sarah felt eyes on her, felt people assessing, judging. Marcus took her hand and squeezed it. "You're doing great, Mom," he said, loud enough for people nearby to hear. They found seats near the front. The principal gave a speech about achievement and future and potential. Students went up one by one to receive their diplomas. When Marcus's was called, Sarah stood and clapped, and for a moment she forgot it was pretend. She felt actual pride watching this kid walk across the stage. Afterward, people mingled. Teachers came over to congratulate Marcus. A few parents made small talk. Sarah played her role, saying things like, "I'm so proud of him," and "he's worked so hard." Nobody questioned it. The expensive clothes and professional appearance were armor, making her invisible in a different way. Then a boy around Marcus's age approached with his father. The boy had a mean look in his eyes. "So this is the famous Marcus Chen," the boy said. "Where's your billionaire dad? Too busy to show up again?" "Leave it alone, Derek," Marcus said quietly. Derek's father, a man in an expensive suit, was staring at Sarah with a strange expression. Recognition. Horror. His face went pale. Sarah's stomach dropped. She knew him, remembered him. He'd been a client 6 months ago at a hotel in Cambridge. He'd paid for 2 hours and talked the whole time about his wife not understanding him. "Derek, we should go," the father said quickly. "But Dad, I wanted to. Now." Derek looked confused, but Sarah caught the father's eye and smiled sweetly. Then she leaned in close to him and whispered, "If you say anything to anybody about who I really am, I'll make sure your wife gets a very interesting phone call about the Sheraton in Cambridge. Room 214, remember?" The man's face went from pale to green. He grabbed Derek's arm and practically dragged him away. Derek was protesting, clearly frustrated that his attempt to humiliate Marcus had been interrupted. Marcus looked at Sarah with surprise and something like respect. "What did you say to him?" "Just reminded him of something he forgot," Sarah said. The ceremony was wrapping up. Sarah's phone buzzed. A client asking if she was available tonight. She started to step away to respond when someone touched her arm. It was the principal, Dr. Morrison, an older man with kind eyes and gray hair. "Mrs. Chen, could I speak with you for a moment?" Sarah's heart raced. He knew. Somehow he knew, and everything was about to fall apart. They stepped into a quiet hallway. Dr. Morrison looked at her carefully. "I know you're not Marcus's mother," he said gently. Sarah opened her mouth to explain, to apologize, to run, but Dr. Morrison held up his hand. Marcus's mother died when he was 6 years old. Car accident. His father and grandmother told him she was traveling because they thought it would be easier for him to process. They kept the lie going, and now I think nobody knows how to tell him the truth. Sarah felt tears prick her eyes. That broken sound in Marcus's voice suddenly made horrible sense. "I've been Marcus's principal for 4 years," Dr. Morrison continued. "I've watched him sit alone at every school event, every sports game, every awards ceremony, every parent-teacher conference. His father sends assistants. His grandmother is too sick to travel. He's so alone, and he tries so hard not to show it." "Why are you telling me this?" Sarah asked. "Because when you walked in with him today, I saw something I haven't seen in 4 years. I saw Marcus happy. I saw him stand a little taller. I saw him smile like he meant it." Dr. Morrison's eyes were wet. "I don't know who you really are or what arrangement you have with him, but I'm asking you, as someone who cares about that boy, please don't leave yet. Give him today. Let him have this one day where he's not alone." Sarah looked back toward the auditorium where Marcus was standing by himself, waiting for her. A kid who'd paid a stranger $5,000 just to not be alone at his own graduation. "I'll stay," Sarah said. She walked back to Marcus and took his hand. "Sorry, just had to take care of something. What's next?" They took photos. Marcus's arm around her shoulders, both of them smiling. Someone from the yearbook committee took one for the school records. In that moment, frozen in a photograph, they looked like a real family. As they were leaving, a car pulled up, an actual limousine. A man in his 50s stepped out, wearing a suit that probably cost more than Sarah's annual income. He had Marcus's eyes. "Marcus," the man said, "I made it. I'm sorry I'm late, but I made it." Marcus's expression changed. Everything warm disappeared, replaced by something cold and hard. "You're 3 hours late, Dad. The ceremony's over." I know. The meeting ran long and the flight was delayed, but I'm here now." Marcus looked at his father with something like contempt. "You're always late. You're always in a meeting. You're always somewhere else." The father looked at Sarah, confused. "Who is this?" "This is my mom," Marcus said flatly. "She came to my graduation. She was on time. She was proud of me. She was actually here." The father's confusion deepened. "Marcus, what are you talking about? Your mother is—" "Don't," Marcus said, his voice sharp. "Don't say it." They stood there in horrible silence. Sarah didn't know what to do, didn't know how to help. "Let's go home," Marcus finally said. "Mom, come with me." He took Sarah's hand and walked past his father toward a waiting car. The father followed, trying to talk, trying to explain. They all got into the limousine in awkward silence. The house was in Chestnut Hill, one of those massive places that looked like it should be in a magazine. They walked inside and it felt empty despite being full of expensive furniture. No photos on the walls, no warmth, just money and space and loneliness. Marcus turned to face his father. His hands were shaking. "I know Mom is dead." The father froze. "What? I've known for years, since I was 12. I found the death certificate in your office. I found the funeral program. I found everything you tried to hide from me." Tears were running down Marcus's face now. "You thought you were protecting me, but you were just lying. Every time you said she was traveling, every time I talked about her coming home someday, I knew it was bullshit. But I pretended to believe it because I thought it made you feel better. I thought if I pretended, maybe you'd be around more. Maybe you'd stop traveling so much. Maybe you'd actually be my dad." The father's face crumbled. He reached for Marcus but didn't know what to say. "I hired Sarah because I needed someone to be there for me today," Marcus continued. "Someone who would show up. Someone who would care. And you know what? She did. A complete stranger cared more about being at my graduation than my own father. Marcus, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. The father was crying now, too. Marcus took his father's hand and pulled him toward Sarah. He took Sarah's hand with his other one and placed them together. Marry her, Marcus said. I know it sounds crazy. I know you just met her. I know this is insane. But marry someone. Bring someone into this house who knows how to be present. Let her be my mom, a real mom who shows up. Please, Dad. I can't do this alone anymore. Sarah tried to pull her hand away. This was too much. This wasn't what she'd signed up for. This was a rich kid's breakdown and a father's guilt, and she didn't belong in any of it. Marcus, I can't, she started to say. Why not? Marcus asked, his voice breaking. Because of what you do? You think I don't know? You think I didn't figure it out? I don't care. I saw you be kind when you didn't have to be. I saw you help people when nobody was watching. I saw you play the best mom in the world today, even though you were probably scared and uncomfortable. That's who you really are, not what you do to survive, who you are inside. Sarah felt something break open in her chest. She ran. Out of that expensive house, down the perfect street, her new shoes slipping on the sidewalk. She ran until her lungs burned and she couldn't run anymore. She ended up in a park, sitting on a bench, crying harder than she'd cried in years. A kid she barely knew had seen her. Actually seen her. Not the prostitute, not the desperate woman, not the failure. Just her. The person inside who was kind and tried and cared. Her phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Please check your purse. Sarah opened her purse and found a folded piece of paper. A letter, written in neat handwriting. Dear Sarah, I know you're probably freaking out right now. I know what I asked was crazy. But I need to tell you something. I've been watching you for 3 months. Not in a creepy way, I promise. I just noticed you in the neighborhood, and I noticed the things you did when you thought nobody was looking. I saw you buy food for the homeless guy who sleeps behind the grocery store. I saw you give your jacket to a woman who was cold. I saw you break up a fight between some kids and then help them figure out what they were really mad about. And once when some older boys were bothering me at the bus stop, you told them to leave me alone. You probably don't remember, but I do. I remember you looked at me after and asked if I was okay. You were the first person in a long time to ask me that. Everybody else just sees the rich kid with the absent parents and assumes I'm fine. But you saw me. You asked if I was okay. The answer was no. I wasn't okay. I'm still not okay. But today, having you there, I felt a little bit closer to okay than I have in years. I don't care what people say about you. I don't care what you've done to survive. I know who you really are because I've seen it. You have a good heart. You're exactly the kind of mom I wish I had. I know my dad. Once he gets over the shock, once he understands, he'll see what I see. He's a good man who got lost in his grief and his work. He needs someone to remind him how to live again. You could do that. You could save both of us. Please think about it. Please give us a chance. We're broken, but maybe together we could be something that works. Love, Marcus. Sarah read the letter 3 times. She thought about Emma, about the life they'd been living, about the things she'd had to do just to keep them fed and housed. She thought about the contempt in people's eyes when they looked at her, about the shame that followed her everywhere. Then she thought about Marcus's face today when she'd stood next to him at graduation, the way he'd smiled, the way he'd called her mom like he meant it. She thought about his father's tears, about the grief that had hollowed out their family, about how pain could make people do terrible things to each other while thinking they were being kind. Her phone rang. Marcus's father. She almost didn't answer. Please, he said when she picked up. Please come back. Let me explain. Let me try to fix this. I'm a prostitute, Sarah said bluntly. That's what I am. That's how I survive. You want that in your house, around your son? I want someone who makes my son smile, the father said. I want someone who shows up. I want someone who sees him. That's what I want. Everything else we can figure out. You don't know anything about me. Then tell me. Come back and tell me. Let's start from the beginning, please. Marcus is sitting in his room crying, and I don't know how to help him, but I think you do. Sarah closed her eyes. This was insane. This was the kind of thing that didn't happen in real life. Rich men didn't marry prostitutes. Broken families didn't get fixed by strangers. Fairy tales weren't real. But maybe sometimes in very rare moments, kindness mattered more than logic. She went back. The father's name was David. They sat in the kitchen, all three of them, and Sarah told her story. About Emma, her daughter from a relationship that ended badly. About losing her job as a receptionist when the company downsized. About applying everywhere, being rejected everywhere, rent piling up, electricity being shut off, Emma being hungry. About the choice that wasn't really a choice. About doing what she had to do to survive. "I'm not proud of it," Sarah said, "but I'm not ashamed either. I did what I had to do to take care of my daughter. That's all." David listened without judgment. "I have a daughter," Sarah continued. "Emma. She's 7. She lives with me and my sister watches her when I work. If you're serious about any of this, she's part of the deal. I don't come without her." "I want to meet her," Marcus said immediately. "I've always wanted a little sister." David nodded slowly. "This is complicated. This is really complicated. But Marcus is right about one thing. I've been absent. I've been hiding in my work because being home reminds me of everything I lost when Julia died. I've failed as a father. I've failed Marcus. Maybe this is crazy, but maybe crazy is what we need." They talked for hours. David explained that he owned a tech company, that money wasn't an issue, but time had been. He talked about Julia, about her death, about the lie he'd told Marcus because he couldn't face his own grief. "If we do this," David said carefully, "if we actually try this, you'd need to stop working the streets. I'll pay you the same as you were making, more if needed, until you figure out what you want to do. I'll support Emma. I'll make sure you both have everything you need. But I need you to be here, be present, help me figure out how to be a family again." "You're proposing?" Sarah asked. "I'm proposing a possibility," David said. "A chance. We get to know each other properly. You move into the guest house with Emma. We see if this could work. If it does, then yes, eventually marriage. For Marcus, for stability, for making this official and real. But first, we try." Sarah looked at Marcus, who was watching her with desperate hope. "I need to talk to my daughter first," Sarah said. "I need to explain this to her. She's been through enough chaos in her life. I won't drag her into something unless I'm sure." "That's fair," David said. Sarah went home that night and talked to Emma. She expected confusion, resistance, fear. Instead, Emma asked one question. "Will we have our own room? And will there be food in the fridge whenever we want it?" "Yes, baby. Yes to both." "Okay then," Emma said simply. "Let's go." They moved into the guest house the next day. It was bigger than any apartment Sarah had ever lived in. Emma ran through the rooms screaming with joy. Patricia came to visit and cried when she saw it. "You always deserved better than what life gave you," Patricia said. "Always." The first few weeks were awkward. David was formal, polite, clearly unsure how to navigate this strange arrangement. Marcus tried too hard, wanting everyone to be happy immediately. Emma was shy around these new people with their big house and expensive things, but slowly, carefully, they found a rhythm. Marcus taught Emma how to play video games. David started coming home for dinner instead of working until midnight. Sarah cooked meals, real meals with vegetables and protein and care. They ate together. They talked. They learned each other. David offered Sarah a job in his company, administrative work that paid well and didn't require her to stand on street corners. She took it, terrified she'd fail, but discovered she was actually good at organizing and managing people. 3 months after graduation, David took Sarah to dinner at an expensive restaurant in the Back Bay. "I want to do this properly," he said. "Marcus pushed us together in a moment of desperation, but I don't want this to be about desperation anymore. I want it to be about choice." He pulled out a ring. Nothing enormous or flashy, just a simple band with a small diamond. "Sarah, I'm not in love with you yet. I want to be honest about that, but I deeply respect you. I admire your strength. I'm grateful for what you've done for my son. And I think with time we could build something real. Will you marry me? Not for Marcus, not for convenience, but because we both deserve a chance at happiness?" Sarah thought about everything that had brought her to this moment. The bad choices and bad luck, the survival and shame, the night a desperate kid had offered her $5,000 just to not be alone. "Yes," she said. They got married quietly, just the four of them and Patricia. Emma was flower girl. Marcus walked Sarah down the aisle. David cried, and Sarah realized he'd been crying for Julia, but also crying for the possibility of healing. Sarah became Mrs. Chen. She left behind the street corners and late-night phone calls and men who saw her as a transaction. She learned how to be a wife to a man she was slowly learning to love. She learned how to be a mother to a damaged teenage boy who needed her more than he could say. 2 years later, Sarah found out she was pregnant. She told David first, nervous about his reaction. They'd never discussed having more children. He stared at her for a long moment, then pulled her into his arms. "A baby," he whispered. "A fresh start for all of us." She told Marcus next, worried he might feel replaced or jealous. Instead, he grinned and said, "Finally, someone in this family who doesn't have baggage." They told Emma, who immediately started planning how to be the best big sister in the world. The baby was born on a Tuesday morning, a healthy boy they named Daniel. Marcus held him in the hospital and cried, telling Sarah that she'd given him everything he'd asked for and more. A real family, a real home, a real mom. David kissed Sarah's forehead and said, "You saved us. You know that, right? You saved all of us." But Sarah knew the truth was more complicated. Marcus had saved her first by seeing past what she did to who she was. David had saved her by offering her a chance when he didn't have to. Emma had saved her by being a reason to keep surviving even when everything was terrible. They'd all saved each other, really. A broken boy, a grieving man, a desperate woman, a hungry child, and now a new baby representing hope and fresh starts. Sometimes Sarah thought about that night, standing on a street corner in cheap heels, about to give up, about the phone call that changed everything, about a kid who paid $5,000 for something money couldn't really buy. People asked her sometimes how this had happened, how she'd ended up here. She never knew quite what to say, that life was strange, that kindness mattered, that sometimes desperation led to salvation. Instead, she just said, "I got lucky. Someone saw past what I was doing to who I actually was, and that changed everything."